Hi everybody, it's Marie from Pear Tree Paper Crafts. Welcome back to my channel. I'm back today with another 12 by 12 process video for you. This one is for Lottie Loves Paper using the awesome Field Trip collection by Shimelle. I think this is my 6th layout with the collection, so this video does count as an advertisement. So today I've decided to go a bit mixed media-y, and I'm using some Vicky Boutin foundation paper, and I'm using just some red acrylic paint to create those really bold stripes on the background, and I like the way that they look a little bit messy just on the edges, and I'm not bothered about them being perfectly neat, because as you can see now I'm going around and I'm doing some splatters. Before I did this, I think I did put some clear gesso on the page just to get it ready for putting that paint on there, so it took it a little bit more easily. And I decided to go with the red because it matches the colours of one of the stuffed toy creatures that my son is sat on in the photograph. So I'm also just using some orange there, making some large blobs and then some splatter blobs as well all over, just to give it a really nice fun, bright feel. And I just love those two colours together. Like I say, they match the creature, the stuffed toy. I think it's a hippo or something that he sat on, that he was playing with when I snapped these photographs of him when he was younger. So there's the photograph. There's a little bit too much as a background on the photo, so I am just cropping it down. I do take a little while over this because I'm trying to make sure I don't remove too much of the creatures, too much of him, but I want to get the photograph down to a nice size. So I'm using quite a few bits and pieces now from the collection. I've used many of the full sheets I had, and I don't think I've got any full sheets left at this point. But I have got lots and lots of pieces, which is why I decided to make my own background. I am a fan of using a white background anyway. So I'm just using lots and lots of different pieces of the patterned paper that I got to work with. And I decided to make some little tags. So I've used that triangular paper to make one tag, and I'm just using my crocodile there just to punch a hole. And then I've got that arrow paper as well, and I'm thinking I'm going to use those as tags, but I think in the end I do change my mind and do slightly differently with that. So I'm now just using some of the star paper. I'm using the lines on my cut mat grid there just to help me line up to cut the corners off. So you could do that with a die, or you could even cut them out on an electronic cutting machine, but because I'm only using scraps, it was easier just to do it by hand. So I've decided to put the picture of my son Elliot on a piece of white cardstock, and again just cut the corners off, make that into a tag. And then I have another look back through the papers I've got left to see what other ones I fancy using, and I think I might use those two green strips, but then in the end I think I prefer the way the arrows look to using those two that I've kind of fussy cut around the arrows, just doing a plain tag shape with those arrows on. I felt look better, so I'm quite happy with those. So I'm just going to have a cluster of tags I think on my layout, and then I go back in and get some of this dotty paper and do exactly the same thing, make another tag with that dotty paper, pop a hole in it, and then I've got 5 altogether. And I think it's those 5 that I'm going to use as my main cluster in the centre. So I'm just getting some twine now and adding little bits on to each one of them, because I kind of want to have them all coming from the same point at the top of the layout. So just attaching them all together. I was going to put eyelets in the holes, but then I decided I didn't want to do that on this particular layout, so I've just left them as plain sort of paper holes. And there's the last one with the tag on. So now I'm just going to place them on my background. My background is mostly dry. I think I might have been a little bit impatient. I think it might still be a tiny bit wet, but never mind. So I just play with the positioning of those tags. I have off camera placed some adhesive foam on the back of each one and just adding little extra bits on now onto those middle ones, and using my glue gun there just to my ATG gun just to pop some double-sided sticky on and position them where I want them. Quite tricky getting the layering right here because I didn't want to put foam completely on the back of all the tags. otherwise you would have ended up with them sort of lifting up in different places where they were kind of overlapping. So I've tied all the twine together at the top there. That's not how it stays, but for now it's what I'm going to do. And I've decided my title is going to be Gotcha, but I don't have any G's left in the red. So I get a bit creative with a Q, cut a section out and stick it down. Don't worry, I do realise right about now that I have spelt gotcha wrong and I've missed the T out. There it is. Thankfully I did have a T. Quite happy with that. And then I start going through the cardstock stickers to decide what bits of ephemera and stickers that I would like to pop on. So I just have a good old play with the bits I've got. I take out all these bits from, so in that pile there are pieces from the ephemera pack and also from one of the sheets where I've basically cut everything apart and fussy cut around a lot of the different elements. So I am just playing now with all the different pieces, trying to decide what looks good. The background is already quite busy, so I feel that they need sort of bold things to add on to this layout. So I'm just going to fussy cut around that little rocket because that matches in colour beautifully at that side. So that's going to go on there. I love that little epic. That's off one of the sheets that I've cut apart as well. And then one of those little viewfinder things in red. I am choosing a few pieces of ephemera here today just because they are the right colour. Not necessarily because they've got a great deal to do with the layout. I do decide there's a bit too much red on here and I want to make the title stand out a bit more. So I then go back to the blue alphas and use those instead. And I didn't have to get creative with a G on this one because I had one left. So I could just use a normal G. So just playing with these bits and strips and thinking, well, are they going to fit or not? I don't think they do. I think I'll take those off in the end. I decided to take off that stay weird and put the date little sticker on instead. And then just playing with lots of little stickers and lots of little elements. I do put some of those blue words on. There's remember when and then there's legendary at the top. I think in the end I do take them back off again. But I do like the idea of that little hexagon at the top to cover up my knot. So I just use some foam either side and then glue that down as kind of the point that all the tags are coming from, instead of having it as a knot, just using that paperweight there to make sure it sticks. And then the last thing I do here is just sort of remove and play again with these bits of ephemera before they're all glued down, and then slowly start gluing them onto the page. I think it's nice to swap and change your mind sometimes. If you're not completely happy, just change it, move things around. There's no rules with scrapbooking. I think that's what I like about it. And then the last few bits I'm playing with, and then the last thing I do is add some dots with Nuvo drops. And that's about it for my layout today. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you again soon.